Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call us right now for more help at 866-945-8070.
Extensions versus apps. So if you want...
that's a really interesting question. So I think the way that I would define it...
Well, we can leave this for discussion.
Okay, sure.
That I'm thinking we should talk about.
Let me now that I've got a few minutes, let me double check, because let's see. I don't know how I would define it, but let's see if that's the official answer.
I feel like, yeah, I like that question. I think the extension is, for me, my definition of extension would be like something on Chrome. You know, like a Chrome extension.
Oh, absolutely. You have to
sort
be
of functions, you know, in the background of the browser versus an app, which would be like actually going to like Google Sheets or Google, you know.
Right. But see, I have like Rappaportive or whatever that's called. That's an extension when I'm in my Gmail.
Yeah.
And it tells me, but there are other apps that do the same thing. So why would I want an extension versus an app? So that's,
I think it's where you want to interact with it. That would be my thought.
Yeah.
But and then also if I know that Chrome has both apps and extensions. It is a confusing thing. It is. I think an app would be it is a very interesting thing. I'm gonna look up the official answer because I have some time.
Awesome.
So Ada, is it pronounced, your last name pronounced Barlatt?
It is. Barlatt is perfect.
Okay, perfect, Barlatt. And you sort of, it sounds like you work with a lot of businesses then in terms of their operations. So you're sort of like a remote operations manager type of?
I wouldn't call myself an operations manager. Well, yeah, in a way, but I think it's a bit more strategic.
Yeah.
So I like to think of myself as a remote chief operating officer.
Okay.
Sort of at
perfectly with our group,
as opposed to like the daily operations manager.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's how I work with my clients, and really interested in helping them figure out what works for them in their business so that they can achieve their goals. Mostly it's growth goals, but some people are looking to save time or prepare for sale or whatever.
Which I feel saving time and growth goes hand in hand.
There you go. Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I found this crazy flow chart actually, but for developers. Interesting.
Okay.
I don't think it really matters. Like, I don't know if the word really matters. It depends on if you want it inside of Chrome or not. And
that makes sense to me. I never really thought of it in that. I was just wondering, you know.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And it's odd because Chrome has extensions, but most other Google apps have add-ons, which kind of do the same thing as an extension.
See?
The verbiage is difficult to follow, and it's always changing. You know, like not very long ago, we would have called it Google Apps, and now technically it's GSuite, and you know, everything is on the move.
Quick question, Gina. I just promote everyone to a panelist, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When they come on. And usually people these days are waiting until the last moment to do that.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm going to start adding some people in because I forgot I was supposed to. Well, I didn't forget, but I just saw someone put in the chat. I was so engaged here. I was like not paying attention.
We're going to have a good chat. I'm really excited about it. Hello. I'm really excited about it.
Hi, Tiffany. Larry's with us. Elizabeth is with us. Elizabeth has a picture now. She doesn't normally, so I'm happy to see that.
There we go. You're recording already, Gina?
Are we recording?
I started recording because I did not want to forget to start recording.
Okay, well.
So when I thought of it, I thought,
hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is September 22nd, 2017. Seth and Friends.
Yes.
Yay.
So Erica, you are here in place of Seth because Seth could not be here.
That is true. Do you want to get started now, or should we wait a little bit?
Let's get started now. It's right on. Well, I guess we have another couple minutes, and Seth.
We have a couple minutes. Yeah, we have I think 12 people are registered, so let's hang out for just a couple more minutes.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to shut the door and maybe put my headphones in while I've got that time.
And so, Larry, I want to say congratulations to you.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you with us, Larry?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So you got a $50 Amazon gift card from QBox?
I know they mentioned it. I haven't. No one has contacted me since. So.
Okay. So you'll want to talk to Allison Garcia.
Okay.
Okay, we're quiet.
Okay.
Not used to being quiet around here. Seth is always talking.
We could consider this our morning meditation. Seth is always talking about meditation.
That's true. Hi, Joy. You're muted. You don't want to talk? There you go.
Hi, there she is.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Okay.
All right, Gina, what do you think? Should we just go ahead and start?
Go ahead and start.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Seth David, and Seth is away for the week. He's been away for the last couple days, so he asked me to stand in and get this kicked off for you guys. Gina will, for the most part, be playing the part of Seth today. I just wanted to get things started here. We have with us the wonderful Ada Barlatt, who is going to talk to us a little bit about Google, if I understand, and the apps and things. And she calls herself a cheerful operations ally, and she works with small businesses to help them strategically grow and become more efficient and save time and all those wonderful things. So we should have a pretty good session here in front of us. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Gina and Ada, and I'll let you guys take it away.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. How are we all doing?
Good.
Good, good, good. We're all safe and sound and praying for our friends down at the islands, down in Puerto Rico, praying for our friends in Mexico with the earthquake that they just had. So
It's been quite the time in the world weather-wise, yes.
absolutely, absolutely. So what else is happening in everyone's world? We have silence.
Everyone's still sleeping.
I am on my second cup of coffee. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Let's do this.
So Ada, let's talk Google.
Do it. I'm
Favorite
excited.
conversation.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm excited about it, and I'm really hoping to get some questions. I got one question from someone in the RSVPs that we'll make sure to answer, but I'm really hoping that we have a conversation. I'm a big Google girl. I use it every day. I use Google Apps in my business, personally and professionally, so I use a variety of different apps and add-ons and extensions and tips that I'm hoping to share with all of you today, but I really would love to know where to focus my efforts, because the Google universe is ginormous. So if anyone has any questions, please put them in there. And if there's any particular apps or as we're moving through things, if you want us to focus or go back or change, I'm fairly flexible on this, and I don't have a formal agenda. So so I wanted to put that out there. But I really love using Google. I think you mentioned earlier, Gina, that you also use Google. Is it both personally and professionally?
Absolutely, absolutely.
account. Yeah, so, and I have an Android phone as well, so I think I'm fully in Google land. I did create a new Gmail account because I was like, well, I don't think everyone wants to know all of my stuff and see all of my emails and things as I work through all this. And I probably, from my client's perspective, don't want to share all that. So I created a new account this morning, and I figured maybe I'll share my screen since we are going to be talking about apps and things. So I'll share that screen with all of you. And in the chat, if everyone could, just to let me know at what level I'm kind of sharing at, like how are you currently in Google, and how long have you been using Google Apps, GSuite, so I can aim my conversation at the right level.
Okay. Well, I am a Google girl and have been a Google girl. Oh my gosh, it seems like forever now. I don't know if I would ever go back to the Microsoft that I was using before. There's just so many extensions and add-ons and things that make it so much easier. And I'm glad we're starting with Gmail. One of the places that I think I'm really slow right now at this point is is it Roll Up or Roll Me Up, or the extension that allows you to take all your not the emails, but the newsletters and types of things.
Yes. So you've been using that and frustrated with it, or you've been using it and enjoying it?
Well, I'm not using it enough is what I feel like.
Oh, interesting. So that's one Gmail concern. We can pop into Gmail for sure. Any other concerns or questions about Gmail that anyone wants to share?
While we're on that subject, we can talk about Boomerang.
Yep, sure. Yep.
Okay.
Boomerang.
Yeah, I always use Boomerang to schedule emails for if I need something to go out early the next morning or something I don't want to forget. I love Boomerang for that, because forever I was just like, why can't I schedule things in Gmail?
Yeah, Boomerang's a good one. I personally don't use Boomerang. I'm an engineer by trade, and so I found Google Script, so I kind of modified my own script, and it sends my emails for me, but it's a cool thing. So Joy's also a Boomerang lover. Before we get into add-ons, any questions about Gmail itself? So, this account is set up with its different inbox categories. Do you ladies use your inbox categories, or do you put everything in one big list?
Now I use mine as, is it called starred or?
Oh, you star listings, or you star messages.
I use a different view, and I forget the name of it. Preferred in priority inbox.
Probably.
Priority inbox, yes.
Priority inbox is a cool one that you can focus on. So you can have default here, or you're using priority inbox as well. You can have important first, unread first, starred first. I personally really love the inbox categories here. I find that it's a fun way for me to focus on the threads that come to the top first. And I'll just, how do I get
Ada,
to inbox 0? Oh, I see a question. Yep.
I have a question about that. With
Yeah.
those priorities, sometimes I get ones that are coming in and they're categorizing it incorrectly. So
Yes.
say like an Intuit, like when there's a bug thing notification coming through, for whatever reason, it's coming under my promotions.
Yeah. So what you'll do is, let's say there aren't any messages in this one, but you just simply pick it, you click it, and you can drag it to the right one. So you'd be dragging from priority to promotions. I'm going to drag it in reverse. And then at the top, this is the important part. It's going to say this conversation has been moved to priority. You want future messages from this email address to go to that tab, and you click yes. So you have to remember to do that part.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So I saw
you create your own inboxes up there. Can you create new ones? You
can. Not really. You can select from the 5 that Google, so I should have maybe done a little slower. So if you click this little plus sign, you can select from the Google ones automatically. And then you can move them around. Another way, if you don't want to use the Google inbox categories, you can use your own filters, but it's a bit more work, right? So Google is on their end are looking at certain messages and sorting them for you. But if you don't like their categorization, you can write your own filters, so that would be a bit more work. Does that answer your question, Erica?
Yeah.
Yes. So yes and no. Let me walk you guys through some others of my favorite Gmail things. Feel free to chime in though. And
So Joy does have, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
Joy says she's been using Google since 2005, professionally since 2007, mostly Gmail, dabbled with Google Plus, no longer, now using Google Docs for work and personally. I am a Boomerang user also, love it. I use categories. Question, how do you get to inbox 0?
Yeah, I find that
all by itself.
I found the fastest, this is my method to get to inbox 0, and it doesn't always work for everyone, but one of my favorite things about Google, and I'm going to switch my tab really quickly, and Gmail in general, are these search operators. So they're super powerful, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to them, but when you practice for a little while, you'll just pop these searches into the top. So for me, I use the archive feature a lot. So the difference, if you're, let's say, coming from a Microsoft land and you're deleting emails and they're disappearing, in archiving, they go into your, they come out of your inbox and just are sitting in your all mail. So here, over there with your labels. So if you archive any message, it'll happily sit in all mail, but you won't see it in your inbox. So the fastest way to get to inbox 0 is archiving everything and searching for what you want. That is the absolute fastest way. Now, with that being said, you could, and when I decided to get, to kind of up my Google game and really clean out the 5,000, I think, messages I had in my inbox, I picked a random date and time and I archived everything behind that. I was like, all right, if it's happened a year ago, I'm not even thinking about it, or 6 months ago or 3 months ago. And then I went through the remaining and I archived the ones that, you know, I left them at the inbox, because I kind of use my email a little bit like a to-do list.
Right.
So, if I leave certain things in there, I know I have to do something, and if I archive it out if I don't need to do anything. So with those more recent messages, I kind of filtered through them myself, but now I've gotten to a point where I can archive things right away. This is another cool thing. So the search, before I jump to that, the search is really cool because you can search messages from a particular person, and you can search by that by name. Let's say you have 2 different email addresses for me. Joy might actually have 2 different email addresses for me. You can search for from : and type in my name, Ada Barlatt, and it will say any message from me. You can put 2 : Ada Barlatt, and it'll be any message that you've sent to me. And you can also search for my unique email addresses. The other ones, you can look at the subject, which is really powerful. If you use labels, which are a way of putting them in folders or organizing your threads, you can do that. Another one that I really love is has. So has attachment, has presentation, has document, has : attachment, and you can link these all together, right? So from Ada, you can have the date range, has an attachment, and then it will filter down all of those messages for you. But it is a little bit overwhelming because as I keep scrolling, there are more and more and more of these search keywords. But I bookmarked this page, and for a week or 2, I forced myself to take the extra seconds and teach myself, and I've gotten very happy in archive land because of it. Speaking of archiving, one of the things that I super love is, and now let me just find my, here, settings, is this called Send plus Archive, and I'm not sure if you know it, but here it is in your settings. So you can either hide it, it's hidden by default, a Send plus Archive button, or you can show it. So let's say, and you'll have to hit save. So I'm clicking show here. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and click save changes. So my Compose browser will be a bit different. Oh, I need to actually respond. Hold on, let me send an email to this person. File, new window. All right. From my other Gmail account. So I'll quickly send a message and you'll see the difference. Oops, and I just got an email. Oh, okay. About this workshop. It'll be recorded. All right, perfect. So,
just really quickly, guys, I'm going to drop that search operators link into the chat. So if you guys want to save it, that's where it'll be.
Yes, please do. Hello. All right, let me send this hello message. Sent. All right, let's refresh. I'll show you what happens when this thing pops up.
Okay.
All right, email. Come back. Oh, it's not here yet.
There we
It's
go.
not.
Well, while we're waiting for that,
Okay. Oh, yes, go ahead. Or I can continue this part.
go ahead and continue.
Okay, perfect. So you just received a message in your inbox. You could, if it's categorized incorrectly, as we talked about before, drag it to one of the other tabs. But let's say I'm sending a message initially, you'll have just the send button. This is the normal compose dialogue. If I wanted to respond to this, if I click reply, now you'll see I have a send button and I have a send plus this icon, which means archive. So when I send the response to this person initially, so I could say, this is just sent. And if I hit send, that message will stay in my inbox and the thread will be updated because there's 2 messages in the thread. However, if you adopt this methodology that I love, which is archiving things when I get rid of them, if I say, hello and goodbye, kind of, and I send and archive that message, it will automatically be archived. So it's like wiping it out of your inbox. So it'll still be in your all mail. It's still happily in your all mail. And if I search for it, to Ada, it'll happily find it for you. But when you sign in every day, it'll be gone. So that's yet another way to get to inbox 0.
Nice.
Those two together took me to a happy place with my inbox.
Tiffany is asking, can we go over nesting messages? I just skipped over Anna, but we'll be back to that.
Nesting messages. So within a thread.
Mm-hmm.
So is this what she means, or something else?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean. And find what happens is, like, say if you're on a whole list of people and a bunch of them all responding, and you need to reply to something in between. It's like they're all out of sequence, or I have no idea what the sequence is or what the logic of it is.
So I think the sequence is time-based.
Okay.
But you can.
So then the most recent is on the bottom?
The most recent is on the bottom.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm wondering, I think there might be a setting to change that. You can also like filter, or another thing here is you can mark something as unread here. So let's say you're in a long thread and you may have opened the whole thread, and you want to go back and read at a certain level. If you click mark unread from here, the next time you pop in there, it'll start with that level of the thread open.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? So let's see. So the question is, can you rephrase the question, or I don't know if I've already addressed it.
Yeah, no, just when I have like a whole thread, like when you're back and forth with somebody and they're giving you information, I find that if I've read it and then they've replied, okay, so I use my inboxes when I've read something and I need to deal with it, I mark it as unread again so it stays in and it's bolded so I know to deal with it.
Yes.
Otherwise
yes.
I archive it. So then when I go to it and they've maybe replied in between when I've already marked it as unread, I've lost where I am in the conversation.
In the thread. You might want to try this mark unread from here. And so because if you mark the whole thread as unread, so then the entire thread from the beginning will be marked as unread. Versus
I didn't know that you could do it mark from here.
I think that might solve your problem.
That's awesome. Tiffany, I have that problem too. I understand what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, it drives me mental.
If you have 1 or 2 responses, it's okay. But when you get to 15, it's like
Yeah.
And you know what? Since I have that priority inbox, I'll star it. That's another way of making sure that it goes up to
As
the
opposed to
top
marking it
of the
unread,
list.
you mean?
Yeah. So you could star that particular email in the thread because each, like marking unread, especially if you do it from the thread in general, it'll mark the whole thread from the beginning unread.
Yes.
Do the mark unread from here, or you could star it. Turn the stars off and on.
Okay.
Cool. Oh, I'm excited. I'm enjoying this. Any other questions?
Well, our next question was from Anna Batil. Tell us about that. I'm not sure what she wants us to tell us about. To make an effort to-do list, also using on the phone. So she's making an efficient to-do list, and she's using it on the phone. Anna, there you are.
Yeah.
Hi. I think it kind of, hi, how you doing?
Good.
It goes off of Tiffany's comments or how she works. I work the same way as I just get a whole bunch of emails, can't deal with it now. Often I read it on my phone and I just want to mark it and not lose it, have it go down too far when I get another whole bunch. I have as well been doing the marking it as unread, but then sometimes it accidentally gets read and it gets lost.
Yeah.
So either in this or inbox, I use the
Yep. In inbox, you can snooze items, so you can bring them back at another time. That's a way.
But it doesn't highlight it, so it snoozes it. But then I don't know how to mark it. I have to go into the snooze, or it's different on my phone. I'm finding this a lot that I read it on my phone, but then I want to work it on my computer. Get back to it on my computer. And then when I go back to the computer, it's lost.
Would Boomerang work in this instance?
No, Boomerang doesn't work on the phone app.
What I do, because I do the same thing. A lot of times I read stuff on my phone, and what I do is I star it, and I use priority inbox on my computer. So when I get back to my computer, there's a whole section of just the starred items. So I know if I'm looking for something, I just need to go into that section of the priority inbox, and it's all right there.
Okay.
Because I used to do the mark unread thing too, but I was losing things and things were getting way down the line, like further than I realized. And starring and using the priority inbox seemed to solve that.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the only other thing, otherwise what I do is I'll forward it into my project management software, which is Active Collab. So I'll
which is another thing.
That, and then I know it's in there. I need to deal with it.
Okay.
Yes, that's another way in using Gmail in conjunction with project management software. Does that help a little bit, Anna?
Yes.
It does? All right, perfect. Some other quick things, unless there's some other questions, because I do want to get into
quick things, because I think we have a new subject.
Okay. So a few other things that I really love about this, about Gmail, in the settings, if you go into labs and you look at canned responses, so if you ever are finding yourself writing the same message over and over again, you can create what's referred to as a canned response. So again, you'll go into your settings, click on labs, enable canned responses, and you also can look at all the other cool labs that are there, and save those changes. And then what that can do for you is you can create a little template in the compose screen. And this is a common email message. Oops.
I'm sorry, I'm not available right now. I will get back to you as soon as possible.
Yes. This is something I say all of the time. And you can put your signature in, you can colors, links, all that kind of stuff. And then here you'll see when you've enabled canned responses, in the little downward arrow menu next to the trash icon, you'll see this added canned responses, and you can add a new canned response. And then this is a comment, that should say comment, but comment message. You click OK. It will save it for you. It'll actually save it for you in your drafts, so make sure you don't delete that draft. And then at a later point in time, if you want to write it to someone, like, oh my gosh, I got to send this common message to Ada, you can find it and then insert it, and it'll insert whatever it was that you saved. So if you find yourself sending the same message over and over and over again, I found canned responses are great. Similarly, a signature, which is in your settings as well, but most people know.
Well, bring it up. Bring up the signature and settings.
So in settings, you'll just simply, when you go into your settings, you'll scroll down and you can type in your signature here. Some other cool signatures are your vacation responder as well. So if you're ever out on vacation or want to have a default, I've seen more and more people responding with vacation responders even when they have a, I get back to email within 48 hours. In other words, don't email me about this 10 times in a row. So if you find people that are emailing you more frequently than you wish, you can just automatically say, thank you, I've received your message, and I will get back to you within a certain time and set those expectations. I think those are the big ones. Let me just double check. Canned responses. Inbox. Oh, my goodness. The other thing, and we might come back to this after we jump over to Google Drive and come back, but there are ways that you can integrate Google Drive and your messages. So you can send files from your Google Drive. And the important thing here, so I think we'll get into Drive shortly. This will be all of your messages right now, because this is a brand new account. There's only one getting started Google Drive document here. But the cool thing is you can insert it as a Drive link here at the bottom. So link it to the live version on Google Drive. Or if you click attachment, it'll actually create the file and send it as an attachment, not associated with your Google Drive account. So you get to decide, and you don't have to export from Google Drive and upload later. Or, if you don't want to send it as a Drive link, if you actually just want to send the file, the spreadsheet, the document, so you can do both.
So Ada, when you send it as a Drive link, does it automatically give people access to contribute to it?
It'll ask you. So let's say I'm going to send this getting started PDF that existed to myself at the end of this canned response. I'll click send, and it will say this drive isn't shared with the recipient. So if it was already shared with me, it would just go. Right. You already went in Drive and shared the document. Otherwise, you can look at the options, right? So the recipients of this email can view, or everybody can view, etc. Or you can send without sharing. And the only reason I use send without sharing is sometimes I know people have multiple email addresses, and maybe I've shared it with their Gmail, but for whatever reason I'm sending it to their Yahoo or whatever email account, but I know they have access to it. So I'll click send without sharing. Otherwise, if you don't give the person access and they click the link, though, they won't be able to get in, right? But you'll get that option here. It's not as robust as the sharing options in Google Drive, so I tend to do my sharing there and send it that way. Or even write the message when you're sharing, which we can talk about. Anything else before? Because I think maybe we'll move to Drive next, unless there are questions about something else.
Well, this is kind of a general Google question, and this is from Joy once again. Yeah. How do you convince clients who are resistant to Google products? Many are concerned about privacy issues. What are some ways to position the benefits of Google for smaller business?
Yeah, I think the GSuite website actually would be a good place for you to send your people. And so this will answer kind of all of the questions about, stay connected from anywhere, bring ideas together, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In terms of and it'll also show, other major companies and universities that are using GSuite. I would refer people here. But I agree with you, Joy. Like, I've definitely met some people that are just anti-Google. And so it's very frustrating.
I was kind of wondering if you sort of had any specific go-tos, like, just sort of benefits or one-liners that you can convince them that outweigh the privacy challenges that people seem to be so afraid of.
Well, what exactly is their privacy challenge? That's what I would try to understand.
Because if you're going to have a privacy challenge on Google, you'll have it on Outlook just the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Google is perceived as this sort of behemoth of information gathering, and people, sort of want to be able to protect their data from being mined or, you know, being used for other purposes than they would want it to be used for. So yeah, I know there's a bit of an education that you need to sort of share with clients who are interested. And I know that, you know, for me, I typically just sort of focus on the fact that the power of the efficiency that these tools create is just so, you know, so worthwhile. But yeah, I just wondered if you had any ideas or any specific references you share with your clients when you're talking about that.
Well, I think the other. Oh, go ahead.
Mary?
I wonder if you could click on that link that says business grade security.
It's actually not a link. I was looking for it. Maybe we could Google it. No pun intended. But the other thing that I would say to that, Joy, is the experience, although is very similar, like the apps are the same on, like, let's say a Gmail account versus a GSuite account for business, but it's kind of that software adage, right? If you're not the customer, you're the product. So if you're paying for it, you know, you don't get as many ads.
Right.
There's different ways that your data is looked at, and there's different amounts of controls that you can put on as well. And even like on my Android, and there are pros and cons, but on my Android phone, I would, you know, turn off location services, turn off all of these services so that there are ways that you can control some of your access to your data, but in trade-off, that means you don't get access to those features, right? So for example, if you turn off location services on your Android, then I can't share my location with my husband, right? So it's like this trade-off, right? Like either you're going to share the data or you're not.
Yeah.
So and there are benefits that come both ways. So that would be what I would start. There's also, and since I know you, Joy, I could send you some of this stuff afterwards. I guess I could share it to everyone. GSuite that has like an affiliates program, and they kind of have training for people to help them sell GSuite to their clients. So that content might be that stuff that you're looking for.
Interesting. Yeah,
I don't have that link on my fingertips, so I will find it and maybe share it with the RSVP list later.
Sure.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
Sales stuff. Cool. Any other questions in general while we're transitioning from Gmail to Drive?
I think we can move on to Drive.
Awesome. So, how is everyone using Google Drive? Not using Google Drive? Yes, people.
A little bit.
My problem is other people not able to access things. Now I know that you can set recipient can edit, recipient can only view, but there are times when I know I have marked them as being able to edit, but they're still not able to open it.
Interesting. When that happens for me, sometimes people are not signed into their Google account or the Google account that you shared it with. Because a lot of us, I think when I created this brand new account this morning, I don't know, it's like my 5th Google account or something. So you have to make sure that you're signed into the right one. That I've definitely had.
Well, the other thing is the particular person I'm thinking in that I have in mind is a therapist. So I think she has her computer locked down. Wow. So I think that there are certain things on her firewall that does not allow attachments or unless they're whitelisted.
Attachment
thing.
Interesting.
So your drive looks different than mine. Like I don't have that computers.
Oh, let me see if my personal drive has that one.
Yeah, I have to go look now, Tiffany, because I think you're right.
Let's see. Oh, I literally started this account this morning.
Wonder if it's a new thing for new accounts.
Yeah.
We just discovered something live.
Yeah.
Don't you love learning on the fly?
I do. So it allows you to back up and sync your information to different devices. What? Yes, backup and sync tool.
Oh, look down at the bottom. Yeah, you got your get backup and sync for Windows.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
I wonder if it's brand new because now I see it on mine.
I don't have it.
This
I don't
article
have it
I'm
on
reading
mine
is
either.
from July. And it mentioned that they launched this backup and sync drive tool earlier this week. So it's something from July.
Brand spanking new.
Yeah,
Nice.
it hasn't made it over to my my Google Suite account that I'm.
Yeah,
looking at.
it's not on my Google Suite account.
It might be on its way. Something to know about. That's really cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's quickly chat about Drive. I know one of the questions that we got before the session was how to keep things organized. I don't have any silver bullets, archive everything and everything gets everything goes better. You do have huge search capabilities, so I guess you could just make a catch-all folder and throw everything in it. That would be kind of the equivalent of archiving everything and get it away. But other than that, creating folders simply as you would on your desktop and thinking about what you want that structure to be in advance and implementing it would work. One of the things I love about Google Drive is that how easy it is to move an item from one folder to another, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But so you can create new folders, you can upload a file or upload an entire folder simply by dragging and dropping it from your computer onto this area of the screen. And then there's Drive, and within your Drive there's docs and sheets and slides, which are common. But I also love clicking this little more button here. You can make forms, drawings. If you have a map, and let's say you want to map out certain things. I know when I was getting married, I created my own Google map of where's the hotel, where's the church, where's the everything, right? So if you ever have multiple locations that you want to map out, if you have multiple locations of your business, you could create a map just for that. And Google Sites, which has recently switched in its user interface, which some people enjoy and some people don't, but you can do that. Also, I make a lot of flowcharts for my clients. So I have connected additional apps, and one of the flowchart apps that I use is called draw.io. So it's a way to create flowcharts, which I could have done in Google Drawings, but I find draw.io to be a bit more powerful.
Draw.io is what you're using?
Yeah, draw.io. Imagine Visio, if anyone's familiar with sort of MS Visio, but sort of in the Google universe. It's its own outside company or its own outside program, but you can open up the drawings that you make will be in your Drive space. You can open it up from there. You can share it in a similar fashion. So you can make drawings or flowcharts or those types of things. Draw.io, at least for now. I'm really enjoying that. Is there one of these that we would like to dig in with? Because a lot of them, I'm sure we could spend a whole hour on each of these individually. Is there one that anyone would like me to start with?
Forms.
Forms, okay, awesome. So oops, I have opened up a form here. I don't want to take the tour. No thanks. So I enjoy the new Google Forms, actually. I was making a form just earlier this week, and I've really started to enjoy how it will estimate or guesstimate what the form field will be. So you can type in your question and select the form field, and there's all sorts of really cool different form fields that I suggest you play around with. A file upload is a fairly new option, which is pretty cool. Dates and time. Oh, go ahead.
Doing your questions, can you put more than one form? Like, if I have a question and I want a short answer and then I want a multiple choice right directly under it.
Oh my gosh, yes, of course. Yes. So let's say we did something in kind of a standard form. So first you start with name. And what I love is if you saw that, question types magically up on your question, right? So I typed a name, it went to short answer. You can duplicate, and by duplicate, it'll just take the same field name and create it again. So here I can duplicate it to name, I don't know, text. You can also, with these 3 dots, add a description.
Got it. Okay, that's what I missed, those 3 dots. Okay.
Yeah. And then another really great thing is response validation. So you can decide what you want your users to enter? Do you want them to enter a number here, text, length, or a regular expression? And a regular expression is something, a structure under which you want your form field to be validated. So let's say you want it to be a phone number and you want it to be of a particular structure, that would be a regular expression. And there's a whole way of writing out regular expressions. But typically,
would that also be like an email address?
Yeah, but the really common ones are actually under text. So if you select text, text contains email address, URL. You can say it has to have some characters or does not have, it cannot have those characters. And then depending on what people enter, they'll get an error text, and you can customize that error text here if you wish. So let's say they have an email address, and you could say, there would be a default Google one that I think says this is an invalid email or something. But you also could say, this must be your email. And so whenever somebody's entering information that doesn't look like an email address, this will pop up in red, which is pretty cool. You can add new questions by clicking this button over here. Let's think of another one. These are options. So you can have option 1, let's say option 2. Another one that I love is always clicking other, which gives an other option and a space for people to enter things in. That works both for multiple choice, where you need to select one. It's a radio button, you select one, or with checkboxes. So people select multiple with checkboxes. Another thing that you can add to really customize is to give your page, you can give a title. So if you wanted to categorize questions within a certain group, questions about you, questions about your business. If you, let's say you're making an intake form or something, you could have different titles, they call them here. And another thing, which I think might go back to what you were mentioning, Gina, is you can have sections. So sections provide two really cool things. One, you could think about a page. So let's go back quickly to this title and description. So you could have, let's just do this. So this is intake form. So your name, let's say a business name, or email. Let's call this email. Let's call this.
Oh, what was that? Enable email and collecting.
Yes. So if you want to, you can collect email addresses. This will work if people are filling in the form as they're signed into their Gmail account. So it'll take their email address kind of from the back end and enter it into your form for you.
Does that follow privacy regulations?
I typically leave it unchecked, to be honest, and I ask for that information. And we'll get back to here in just a minute. But how many, I don't know, years have you been in business? Or maybe like what industry? So we can do that. So we can have different sections, and I'll show you what this looks like in just a moment.
I love how you could just drag and drop that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I was going to say you just showed us something cool there, drag and dropping.
Text, we'll make this email, email address. Okay, and let's say what industry. And so the cool thing about having sections is that they're separate pages. So I'll show you what the form looks like in just a moment, but you'll work through it, and then you can say, depending on how you want to organize these, you could have multiple sections and decide at the end of these set of questions, you can say, oh, submit the form at the end, or go to section 3, or go to section 2. You can decide how you want your form to be navigated here, looking at after section 1. So that means after you finish all the questions in section 1, where do you want us to navigate? In addition, with the check boxes, response validation. A quick thing on response validation. I recommend, especially when you're getting new, used to the forms, every time I enter a form, I'll always look at the 3 dots and just see what options I've got in front of me. Here in the check boxes, you can say, oh, they must select at most 3 options, at least 3 options, exactly 2 options, etc. So that's always a really good one. But then, where is it? I might have moved it. There should be a, you can add images. So if you wanted to have your options have images, but there used to be a move section, or maybe this is only in my sheets. There you let me just give me just one moment. Conditional branching.
That's what I was going to ask, if you could do a conditional.
You definitely can. I'm just let's see. Go back to your first.
No, what are you doing right now? You're just Googling that?
I am Googling that, yes.
Okay.
There should be, oh, it's because I'm not in, it's because I'm in checkboxes. In multiple choice. So when you give someone a multiple choice option, you click your 3 dots, you can go to section based on answer. And so based on what answer they select, you could take them to section 2 if they select, you know, this is section 2. And you could take them to section 3 if this is section 3. And it will go to those options.
And then they wouldn't see the other ones at all.
They wouldn't see the other ones at all. That's exactly right. So let's for the sake of time, there's also different ways you can change the color palette if you wanted. I always really love that color personally. And we can preview it. So here is your form. So as you notice, we only have name and email and what sections, and then the next button. So that's what that, if I go back over here.
So I have 2 questions for you. I'm going to start with the second question.
Sure.
How to style forms, fonts, font sizes, etc.
Okay, sure. I'll finish just this demonstration of how the branching works, and then we'll go from there. So let's say we select section 2 and click next. It'll take me to section 2. And if I click back and select section 3 instead and take next, it'll take me to section 3. So that's a really cool part. The other thing that's important to note back here, before I get to your question quickly, Gina, is this idea of making questions required. So if people must enter that information, this required button or this slider must be turned on. And once your changes are saved, if you refresh, you'll notice that there'll be a red star next to the form question. So to answer your question then.
This is from Joy.
Oh, from Joy. Oh, sure. So, oops. We want to. Oops. The color palette, there should be a theme.
I only see the theme at certain times.
Yeah.
So themes.
It wouldn't be the A beside there? Beside the 3 dots? No.
This one. Oh, the A is just my different. Oh,
sorry.
So themes is actually inside the color palette. It's at the very bottom one. That one, yeah. Right for the different image headers, and I was playing around with this last week and really struggling to find how can I know in previous versions of Google Forms I've been able to play with fonts.
Yeah, yes.
But for this version, I'm not seeing where that exists at all.
I'm with you, Joy.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, I will put my form change.
You will Google it.
Yeah, I will.
Google it.
my Googling thing. Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay.
So her second question is how to embed this in an email, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the responses. We'll talk about that too next.
Yeah. So the easiest way to do that is just to click send and to write your message in here. You can include the entire form in the email, like the entire thing will be embedded. If you want to do it that way. Yep. You could grab a link.
There we go.
Or you could embed it in an iframe.
Okay.
What's that?
So an iframe is like a HTML
Oh, so
tag
like
that allows you
a
to embed
website.
on your website. Yeah.
Okay.
But let's say you're going to email it. I find that this is the easiest, as long as you, you can add additional stuff. As long as you don't need to really change the, like, you can't make things bold. If you're sending plain text in a form, I find that this is.
But you can't put your signature or anything in there either.
Yes,
You
usually
can copy and paste it, but if you just wanted to send it as a link, you'd probably just copy this or shorten it. Get a shortened link and plop it in an email in Gmail.
that's what I generally do, just because you have the ability then in Gmail to use your full Gmail. You can do BCCs and
Yes.
you can.
This is definitely limited in terms of email sending, for sure.
Yeah, you could probably even put that into like your canned response and have that as a URL for an intake form.
You could.
If you have a new inquiry or something.
You could. One other thing, there are so many add-ons for Google Forms, and I don't want to take up too much time because I want to talk about the other one. Maybe we'll have to do this again. But nope, it's not that one. Cancel. And just in Google Drive in general, there are amazing add-ons, amazing. I can't tell you enough how many really cool add-ons there are. And I sometimes I'll just come in here and just search for stuff. It's like, I wonder if somebody's built something that does this or built something that does that. But one of my favorites is Form Publisher.
I just saw it down there.
Which is an add-on, and what it does is, let's say someone enters a form. I'll just walk you through it. So you create a Google form, it collects some data. You can create merge fields. So like you're going to do a mail merge, and my favorite app for that is yet another mail merge. But you could create merge fields that link your form fields, your name and email address, to, let's say, a Google Sheet or a Google Doc. Let's say you have a receipt that you're going to send or a confirmation that you were going to send. You can create merge fields, and then anytime someone submits that form, it'll automatically populate that document and send it to them as an attachment.
Nice.
Which is super cool. Form Publisher does it. There are a few others that can do it with some bells and whistles, but Form Publisher, in my opinion, is the most straightforward of those.
And it's free.
And it's completely free, completely free, and it's amazing. So yeah, so you can put it into docs, sheets, slides, or PDF. You can save it in your Drive or send it off to them in your email. So if you're collecting information for something and you want something to be done with that information, that's great. If you need any calculations or anything in Google Sheets, you can put in anything else that you'd want to put in a sheet, and it will do all of that for you. So Form Publishers are really great in terms of add-ons. And yeah, there's so many amazing add-ons. I'll just, because I don't want to go too far over, I do some extra time today. I had us till noon. Is it noon or 1?
Noon.
Okay, perfect. I do have some extra time if people want to hang out and keep chatting, but just to point some other things out. Yet another mail merge. I don't know if, that one's actually in Docs. So here's the add-ons menu in Docs. Oh, wait. Sorry. Sheets. It's in Sheets. Add-ons.
Smart Sheets. That was cool. Smart Sheets big in our group.
Yes, there is a Google add-on for Smart Sheets. Yes. If you use Smart Sheets, it's pretty awesome. There it is. Yet another mail merge. So similarly here, if you have a list of people you want to send a mail merge, creating a list of messages to a certain set of people. Let's say I wanted to email all of you after this webinar with a certain set of information. I can write a draft email in Gmail, put all of your information in one Google Sheet, and it will personalize the emails for me and send them all off. The other really cool thing that it does, depending on how you feel about this, is it will track if it's been opened or not, which is kind of interesting if you're curious if people are opening up your email. So that one is pretty cool as well. Let's see.
Ada?
Yes, please.
Yeah, in general with the forms, when you have the forms completed, where does that information go?
So that's in responses. So let me quickly fill in this one, Ada. So I could type in something, and as you notice, it's not an email. So it'll say must be a valid email. So I'll just say ada@operationsally.com. Oops. I can select an industry. Next. Okay, let's submit. So one thing before I jump into there that's important to note, is with each section, so let's say you have an intake form that people have to fill in a general amount of questions and then they go into one of two categories. You want to make sure at the end of each section that ends the form that you include this submit form option. Otherwise, people will just navigate, like they won't actually skip a section, they'll just navigate throughout the entire form. That's important to know. But now that I've submitted a response, whenever you go into your form, you'll see in the editor profile, you'll see that there are responses here. And you can look at your responses in one of two ways. They will automatically create a summary based on the information in a chart form. So any text-based information will just be listed out. So Ada, Bob, Mary, Jane, and my email addresses. In addition, they'll automatically summarize the like check boxes and the radio buttons with the chart. But you can also create a spreadsheet with that information. So
and that's how I use it the most. That is so powerful.
Then you can
share those results with other people.
You could share the results with other people. You could modify the data in other ways. There are lots of other things that you could do.
You could use your mail merge.
You could use your mail merge. There's so many things that you could do once you have it all in here. There was a client that actually built a directory for using Google Forms and a Sheets, and another thing called Awesome Table. If you ever want to display, maybe with the amount of time that we have left, it's a little tangential, but I think Awesome Table is just awesome. So it's appropriately named.
And what is that name again? You said it fast. Awesome Table. Okay.
Awesome-table.com.
Awesome-table.com. If you go to support, it's pretty cool. There's a really nice introductory video. But if you ever want to display information from a Google Sheet, it's unbelievable. Let me see if I can just find the examples of what it can do.
And it's only from Google Sheets?
Only from Google Sheets, yeah.
Okay.
And it has...
Can it map?
It does do maps. Okay, I'm just going to have to Google it. Clearly, I Google things more than I know how to get there. But Awesome Table examples. Template gallery. This is what we're looking for. When I found this, it just tickled me pink, honestly. So so you could create a store if you wanted. Let's just open up some of these tabs. And all of these, the only thing behind these examples is a Google spreadsheet.
And you can do that with images too.
You can do it with images. You can do it with everything. I love Awesome Table. If anyone else, you'll need to know a little bit of HTML to get fancy, but feel free to reach out to me. I think I love the thing. Let's see some examples.
How do we reach out to you, Ada?
What was that?
How do we reach out to you?
Oh, yeah. So you can send me an email. I'll put it in the chat. Ada@operationsally.com. Feel free to email me at any time. So imagine a Google spreadsheet. I might be able to copy the template. Let's see. All right, that's fine. And I might be able to show you the spreadsheet. But each of these boxes is a row in a spreadsheet with the images and things. But not only does Awesome Table give you a way to display them, but you can also filter based on name, based on category, based on subcategories, if they're available, based on price. So it automatically generates all of this UI stuff for you. And it takes a little bit of, there's a learning curve, a little bit of a learning curve, I'm not gonna lie. But once you learn it, you're just like, oh, I just wanna use Awesome Table all the time. These are just different ways of displaying the same information, the images, etc. I know you mentioned a graph, so a map. Yep.
Could Awesome Table be used for if you wanted it as a version of a visual phone book?
Yeah.
Do you have a template for that?
Yes. Let me find it. Hold on. But here are the maps that you mentioned, Erica.
Yes.
You could go, zoom in and actually click on a person and see where they're located. It's super cool. It's super
Creepy and
cool.
nice all at once.
Yeah, it's very cool. And there's 2 different displays you can do for the charts. Yeah, we could probably spend a whole hour on Awesome Table. But let's see. I just want to find that template. And oh, here it is. So you can just copy. If you like this, you can go to the Awesome Table website, look up their templates, and just copy. Literally, they'll let you copy the entire template. So they'll put the spreadsheet in your Google Drive, and they'll also create this for you. So here it is, all of the different people, their contacts. If you knew HTML, you can make all these things links and stuff. You can filter based on name, or here's different skill sets. So you could definitely make a cool directory with Awesome Table.
And is it constantly linked with your spreadsheet? So if you
Yes.
upload something in your spreadsheet, it goes there?
Automatically. Yep. You might need to refresh the page, but yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is there a fee for this Awesome Table?
No, there's no fee for Awesome Table. The only caveat that I'll say is if you want this information to be displayed publicly, then you need to make the sheet itself also be able to be viewed by the public, if that makes sense. So it's very rare that people will figure out your exact URL, that long Google spreadsheet title, but you need to be able to share it so that anyone with the link can view. So if you wanted to share this document, hello. You will need to get a shareable link, and to make anyone, if you want to make it available with the public, then anyone with this link will have to view it. If you want to just make it shareable for the Awesome Table itself to only be viewable for people within your organization or within a certain number of people, then you can share normally. Does everyone know about Google Sheet sharing? I said that.
Let's go over it real quick.
Really quickly. So you have a set of documents that you've created. So if you think about the analogy with Word or Office, MS Office, that are on, let's say, in your space, and you can share those with other people and allow them either to have view permissions or edit permissions. And so if you wanted to, you could type in an email address, and you could send them a note right in here, and tell them, hey, you've got access to this file, and you both can be inside the file at the same time editing the same document simultaneously. And Google in the back end will keep track of the versions, which is really important. You can see who was the last person that edited it, what changes did they make, and you can go back and forth. So here, I've shared it with one person. Within my email account, I'll get this email saying, this person has shared this document with you. Click here to be able to access it. I will do that actually really quickly.
Can you do that on a folder level, or is it on?
Yes, you can do it on a folder level as well. I just got this email. Let's see. There. Oops. This. You could do it on a folder level as well. Let me show you that. Let's say I created a folder first. A new folder. Happy. Create. Go, computer, go. And then that means any file that you put in that folder will also have the same share permissions. So you can right click on it and share. So that means, let's say I'm sharing something with you. That means if I add something new to the folder, it's automatically shared with you.
And that I can fully access it.
And that, well, it depends on the permissions, yes. But either you'll be able to view it or you'll be able to edit it, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've just gotten my edit invitation from Google Sheets. So if I go back here, oops, which one was it? This one. So
I see you there.
There we go. So me, Ada as Operations Ally, is here in pink. My other account, cheerfulOperationsAlly@gmail.com, is here in blue. And so we're both looking at the same documents at the same time. And up here, there's a little indication that somebody else is viewing your file. Right? And so if I make a change, I'm automatically seeing it in both places. And you can do that with Sheets, you can do it with presentations, which is called Google Slides, and you can do that with documents.
Awesome.
Clearly, we've gone a bit over. As I mentioned, I'm up for staying a few more minutes if people, have some questions we want to wrap up with. But other than that, super fun.
I think that's it for the questions today.
Excellent, excellent. I will end with one just little tip. Just going full circle back to whoever mentioned folders, is when you have a Drive document open, you can simply click this folder icon and it will tell you where it is, and you also can organize things, so you can move it to a particular folder without ever leaving the document itself, which is one of my favorites.
Nice, nice.
So then if somebody, like if the pink person has the access to this sheet, then they'll still have access to it in a different folder, but they may not have access to the rest of the folder.
Correct. That's exactly right. Yeah. So for my clients, I will have a folder, like saying with their name, Tiffany, and then I'll have a whole bunch of folders. Sometimes I have a subfolder that's shared with Tiffany, all the things that she can see, and then I'll have other things that are other stuff that I have that's related to that project.
And is there an easy way to see what is shared with whom?
What is shared with whom? You can quickly see when you go in there. Well, there should be, maybe it's just how I viewed it. Let's see.
In list view?
In list view, yeah. So I'll show you quickly on mine. There is a little person icon when you shared it with someone. If that folder is shared, I'm not exactly sure. Well, I didn't share the folder. And then let's see if I put it in list view. Ah, yes. And if it's in list view, then you'll see
there we go.
who it is. And I'll just say shared. I don't think it'll say shared with who. Let's see. But if you right click on it and click share, you'll see who it's shared with.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I had a quick question. If I need to do like pamphlets or ads or brochures with templates, I like to start with templates.
Ah, yes. So if you start a new, well, actually, probably the fastest way is to go to just docs.google.com directly.
Okay.
And then you can just see in your accounts, and you can look at all of the templates in the template gallery, and you pick one, and it will create a new one for you.
Okay.
That's probably the fastest. Same thing with sheets.
Docs at Google Doc.
No, I think it was docs.
Docs.google.com, and you can do the same thing with
sheets.
With sheets and with slides. Yeah.
Nice.
Other quick ones? Well, I hope this was helpful.
Absolutely, it was fun too. You have like a great energy and so
good.
excited about Google. I can
I love
understand.
it. I use it every day, and it's fun to share the little tricks that I've picked up along the way, because they definitely improve my life. So hopefully they'll improve yours as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. So I'll talk to you all later.
Okay, well, thank you for being with us, Ada. Is there any way that you want us to contact you? How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my email address is perfect, but Seth did mention he was going to share the RSVP list with me, so I may mail merge you all a email later on today, or when Seth gets me that information. I'm giving you some other options for how we can stay connected, but my email address is in the chats, and I honestly and openly, do not hesitate, reach out.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Very fun today.
Thank you,
All
Ada.
right, have a good weekend.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye. Thanks, Ada.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.